Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to our 352nd weekly webcast. This is an AMA, like on Reddit. You can ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, investing questions, career questions, personal growth questions, side hustle questions, anything you want. And my humble goal is to help you take your career to the next level. Let's begin. All right, and please keep typing your questions. Javesh wrote, hey Chris, the situation in the Middle East is really heartbreaking. Yes. During times like this, what investments or strategies do you think make the most sense? So a lot of people, what they do is they run to instruments that can outperform, meaning a flight to quality. So a lot of people will buy gold, but I don't recommend ever buying gold or any asset class when it's near an all-time high. And oddly enough, people buy the US dollar as well. So back in the fall of 2008, when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working, what people did was, although the problem started in the United States, people bought US dollars and bought gold. So my largest position in the fall of 2008, my hedge fund, was ticker GLD. But I have a different perspective now. I want you all to invest for the long run. Okay. And I love to quote Wayne Gretzky, who's one of my heroes. I grew up in Canada. He said he was successful humbly, not because he skates where the puck is, but rather because he skates where the puck is going to be. And by the same token, I want you all to buy stocks that people are going to like. I want you to think long term. You know, a lot of people are piling into defense contractors now, like Lockheed, Northrop Grumman, ticker NOC, etc. Makes sense. But I want you to think 5, 10 years from now. I want you to be an owner. I don't want you to rent stocks. I want you to do your own due diligence on stocks. Okay, and I want you to ask yourself this question. In 5 years, will this company I'm doing due diligence or investment research on, in 5 years, will it be more relevant or less relevant than it is today? Okay, and the best way to do it is to always create an investment write-up. And I've got a lot of tools for you guys to use to do that as well. I use a lot of AI to analyze companies. And then also, I have my 100-step investment dashboard that I've talked about a lot before. But I want you to think long term. I don't want you to panic. I want you to buy your favorite stocks for the long run. Now, I think the price of oil could spike to above $100. You know, it's interesting because in 2008, a lot of people forget, but in 2008 during the summer, the price of oil actually spiked to above $150. And you're all reading the same news I'm reading with respect to the Strait of Hormuz, where Iran has kind of blocked oil tankers from shipping oil. 20% of the world's oil comes through that strait. So anyway, God willing, things are okay, but I want you to think very, very long term. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I want the focus today to be on you starting your own side hustle. And I want the focus to be on you raising money from high net worth investors, etc. So what I'm going to do is I just recorded a video, and it's a reaction to the movie, The Social Network, which I'm sure many of you have seen. Okay, and it's based on this book called The Accidental Billionaires. And so I'm going to play my reaction video right now. Okay, I just finished it, and I want you to type questions on startups, etc. And as you watch this video, I really want to empower you all to think about if you're working at a big company now. I always want you to write business plans on the side, okay, and start your own company on the side. And I'm going to swear, which I rarely do, but there's nothing worse than spending the rest of your life being someone else's bitch. And I want to empower you all to start your own company. So let's say you start a company on the side and you write a business plan on the side, okay? When do you quit your full-time job? Well, you quit when the trailing 6 months revenue from your side hustle is greater than your annual salary. And I want to help you get there. So without further ado, I'm going to play this reaction video, and please type your questions. And as you watch this, I want you to think of investment ideas or startup ideas that you could start on the side. See you soon. Thanks.
Peter Thiel just made an angel investment of $500,000. $500,000.
Mark!
He's wired in.
Better lawyer, Bob. Because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
Today I'm reacting to the Social Network movie, but through a finance and founders lens, meaning startups, venture capital, ownership, and dilution. Now the movie is one of the best pulp culture case studies for explaining how venture capital-backed companies and startups actually work, especially the moment you take outside money and when the cap table, meaning ownership, turns into a battlefield. Here are the key players in this movie, and we will also discuss many startup and venture capital concepts in this reaction video. Stick around until the end of this video because I'm going to grade the movie for startup realism with a buy, hold, or sell rating based on my work experience in venture capital, where I invested in Facebook and Palantir pre-IPO along with Peter Thiel, and based on my experience being on the boards of companies along with venture capital firms like Sequoia and Andreessen Horowitz.
We're going to need a little startup cash to rent the servers and get it online.
Did he offer terms?
Yes. We'll split it 70-30. 70 for me, 30 for you for putting up the $1,000 and for handling everything on the business end. Your CFO.
And you said?
I said, let's do it.
Now, this is seed stage, meaning the initial investment entrepreneurship phase in one sentence. You need upfront cash just to get the product online. And notice the psychology here. Founders like Eduardo here, I own 30% and they think it's permanent, but it's not. In venture-backed reality, it's commonly a starting point, not an ending point.
Can I help you?
I'd like to freeze this bank account and cancel all existing checks and lines of credit.
Accurate. In real life, Eduardo did freeze Facebook's bank account, and Zuck's family had to put in about $80,000 in order to help Mark continue to run the company. And Eduardo should have been fired immediately for that, but of course Zuck needed the money. And Facebook could have gone bankrupt. And startups die from running out of cash far more often than they die from bad ideas. And Facebook needed more money and better governance. And this next clip is Mark Zuckerberg's first meeting with legendary venture capitalist Peter Thiel, who gave them much more than money.
Hey guys, come on back. We took a look at everything and congratulations. We're gonna start you off with a $500,000 investment.
And this is the angel investment, where Facebook was valued in this round at around $5 million, meaning Peter Thiel owns 10% of the company. Now, getting Peter Thiel as an investor is a huge deal for Zuckerberg because Peter Thiel was part of the PayPal mafia. And per this graphic, the PayPal mafia includes the following early employees that worked at PayPal that dominate Silicon Valley, including Elon Musk, the founders of YouTube, LinkedIn, Yelp, etc. And please remember that the jockey's always more important than the horse, meaning ideas are commodities, but execution is not. Now, the Winklevoss twins had an idea for a business like Facebook, but they couldn't execute, partially because they were focused on other things. And when you start a company, you need to be all in.
You have part of my attention. You have the minimum amount. The rest of my attention is back at the offices of Facebook, where my colleagues and I are doing things that no one in this room, including and especially your clients, are intellectually or creatively capable of doing.
Now, if you want to be a billionaire, you need to be all in like Zuck was with Facebook. And Mark was so committed that he dropped out of Harvard, whereas the Winklevoss twins were focused on rowing in this lawsuit. Now, just because you have an idea for a company does not mean that you can execute on it.
Do you see any of your code on Facebook?
Mark,
Did I use any of your code?
you stole our whole idea.
Fellas, you know, you really don't need a forensics team to get to the bottom of this. If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
This is one of the most brutal sentences in startup history, and it's a useful business lesson. In venture investing, people say, bet on the jockey, not on the horse. And there's a reason Peter Thiel's current venture capital firm is called Founders Fund. It's because you bet on founders and not just ideas. And the top VC firms would always rather invest in an A management team with a B business model rather than a B management team with an A business model. Now, this movie is based on this book I read, and it's not accurate at all because it reads like the author mainly spoke to number one, Eduardo, and number two, the Winklevoss twins. And as a result, it is so biased and filled with inconsistencies and lies that were likely fed to the author. But the best quote from this book is this: "The internet is not a pencil, it's a pen, and you can't erase stuff." Now, how is Peter Thiel gonna fix Facebook?
Maurice is gonna talk to you about some corporate restructuring.
We'll file as a corporation in Delaware. Come up with a stock structure that allows for new investors.
Now, initially, The Facebook was incorporated as a Florida LLC, as co-founder Eduardo Saverin went to high school there. But most venture capital firms prefer that you register in Delaware as a C Corp and not as an LLC, because a C Corp offers better corporate governance, institutional investors, and scalable exits under Delaware corporate law. And speaking of corporate governance,
Now, let me ask you something. Who's Eduardo Saverin?
And Thiel asked this question as he was looking at what is called the cap table, which means the capitalization table. In other words, who owns the company. And at that point, Eduardo owned 30%, and we will soon discuss him getting diluted big time. Now, from an investor's perspective, the question was about due diligence and control. And investors want to know, who are the founders? What do they own? And could any founder create a legal risk later? And here you see who owned Facebook from 2004 through the 2012 IPO, meaning which venture capital firms led each round, meaning the A, B, C rounds, etc. And every time you raise money from venture capital firms, there's a risk of material dilution because new financing rounds typically issue more shares, which reduces existing holders' percentage unless they have the right and the money to maintain their stake, often called the pro rata rights. And for this graphic, we see Mark Zuckerberg's net worth over time and his percent ownership of Facebook over time. Yes, he owns less of the company over time, but as long as the valuation of the company increases every time you raise money, meaning in the A, B, and C, etc. venture capital rounds, then your net worth can increase big time. Now, per this S1 filing here document from 2012, Zuck got diluted to owning less than 30% of the company. But on the cover here, it's hard to read. It says that his voting control of the company was 57.3%. And dilution is not good or bad. It's the price of growth capital. And the real question is whether the pie is growing faster than your slice is shrinking and whether the dilution is happening fairly and transparently. And if you plan to hire great people and raise money from venture capital firms, you should expect dilution. And the goal is not to avoid dilution. It's to make sure the dilution buys you something valuable, meaning top talent and growth capital. Now, we'll come back to this with the movie's starting cap table in a few clips, so the before and after makes much more sense.
I said it's time to monetize the site. Advertising.
No.
Site.
We don't even know what it is yet. We don't know what it is. We don't know what it can be. We don't know what it will be. We know that it is cool. That is a priceless asset I'm not giving up.
Now, Eduardo is wrong and Zuck gets it. Monetize is one of the most misunderstood words in startups, and many venture-backed companies prioritize growth first because they believe scale gives them pricing power later. And you need to think bigger if you want to change the world, and you need to get big fast and then monetize it later. And this is exactly what Zuck did when they bought Instagram in 2012, meaning grow the crap out of Instagram subscribers, then monetize it later. And you can do this if you raise a lot of money. Now let's talk about how Eduardo got screwed by Facebook's lawyers who led him to believe that his ownership was increasing from 30%.
That represents a 34.4% ownership share. Why the increase from the original 30%?
Because you may need to dilute it to award shares to new investors.
I love working with business majors. Would you like to use my pen?
Now Eduardo is feeling pretty good about his ownership, and then this happens.
You signed the papers.
You set me up.
You're gonna blame me because you were the business head of the company and you made a bad business deal with your own company?
It's gonna be like I'm not a part of Facebook.
It won't be like you're not a part of Facebook. You're not a part of Facebook.
My name's on the masthead.
You might want to check again.
Now, Eduardo realizes his ownership shrank because the company created a huge number of new shares and he didn't get enough new shares to keep his percentage the same. And the lesson here is always hire your own lawyer, please, when you sign company documents, as the company's lawyer does not ever represent you. Now, you'll notice that there are no traditional courtroom scenes in this movie, and that is because Zuck settled before going to trial. And in business, this is crucial. In business, when it comes to lawsuits, whether you think the underlying claims are strong or weak, litigation's really expensive, it's distracting, and it's risky, of course, and companies settle because it caps downside and lets management get back to building. And in the real world, the Facebook litigation with the Winklevoss entity ConnectU had a settlement valued around $65 million in cash and stock, and Eduardo settled in 2009 confidentially. And by the time of the 2012 IPO, Eduardo reportedly owned about 4% of the company. Now, at IPO in 2012, Facebook's valuation was about $104 billion versus the current valuation of more than $1.5 trillion. And the cap table changes after 1, you add employees via stock options, 2, you raise outside funding, and 3, you restructure the company legally.
You issued 24 million new shares of stock.
What was Mr. Zuckerberg's ownership share diluted down to?
It wasn't.
And what was your ownership share diluted down to?
0.03%.
So this is not accurate. In real life, Eduardo was diluted down to close to 10% at that point. Now, if a company repeatedly issues new shares for investors and employees, and one stakeholder does not have effective protection or participation, their percentage can collapse. And Eduardo signed legal documents created by Facebook's attorneys without getting his own personal lawyer to review them. Now, since I know a lot of people close to Mark Zuckerberg and the VC firms that invested in Facebook, let's talk about how real the movie was.
You're gonna go through life thinking that girls don't like you because you're a nerd. And I want you to know from the bottom of my heart that that won't be true. It'll be because you're
So this breakup scene, which they filmed literally 99 times, although it was so well done, this is all BS. Because Mark was dating his current wife, Priscilla Chan, since 2003, and Facebook was actually founded in 2004.
The whole framing of the movie, kind of the way that it starts is, I'm with this girl who doesn't exist in real life. And I mean, the reality for people who know me is I've actually been dating the same girl since before I started Facebook.
And pause me if you want to read what Eduardo, Dustin, Sean Parker, and Sheryl Sandberg had to say about the reality of the movie here. And Mark Zuckerberg was ultimately a good sport about the movie, and the most successful entrepreneurs are almost always unemotional.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You ever end up seeing the film, the Social Network?
Yeah, I did.
Cool. Oh, thanks. What did you think?
It was interesting.
Now, Facebook actually gave employees a day off when the movie came out in case they wanted to watch it. Let's get back to clips from the movie.
You invented something in high school too, right?
An app for an MP3 player that recognizes your taste in music.
Maybe you're trying to buy it?
Microsoft.
How much?
Didn't sell it, uploaded it for free.
Now, venture capitalists love investing in serial entrepreneurs. And remember, the jockey is more important than the horse. And if investors feel that an entrepreneur is not experienced enough, then what assuages that concern is if the entrepreneur surrounds themselves with successful people like what Zuck did with Sean Parker and Peter Thiel. Now, what did Zuck learn from Peter Thiel?
Speaking of Peter, and sort of a closing question, what's the best piece of advice he ever gave you?
In a world that's changing so quickly, the biggest risk you can take is not taking any risk.
That's so true. And if you release your product when it's 100% ready, it's too late, you missed the market. Now, if you start a company and you think investors might not want to invest because you don't have enough experience, you can always network to get more experienced people on your advisory board. Let's now take a look at Facebook's early go-to-market strategy.
We are expanding to Yale and Columbia. Dustin, I want you to share the coding work with me. Chris, you're going to be in charge of publicity and outreach, and you could start by getting a story in the BU student newspaper. It's The Bridge. Somebody at the newspaper will be a computer science major. Tell them that Mark Zuckerberg will do 10 hours of free programming.
Now, 3 lessons here. Number 1, consumers like to be part of something elite. Number 2, use the media for free publicity. And Elon Musk actually did this with Tesla, of course. Have you ever seen a Tesla commercial? Me neither. And number 3, like this book, give in order to take, meaning he offered free coding in return for publicity. And according to this book, Give and Take, which is a masterpiece, the richest 1% of people in the world are givers. Give and you'll receive. It's prophetic, and it's been true since the beginning of time. And as Dale Carnegie says in business and in life, you need to anticipate someone else's wants, meaning arousing the other person an eager want. And Zuck is not just a brilliant developer, but he's a genius when it comes to business, something Eduardo and the Winklevoss twins do not possess.
After you passed out last night, I went on the Facebook for a little bit.
What's that?
The Facebook? Stanford's had it for like 2 weeks now. It's really awesome, except it's freakishly addictive. Seriously, I'm on the thing like 5 times a day.
Now, that's Sean Parker, and the movie and book mention how Eduardo and Parker hate each other. In reality, they did not. And you'll notice that Dakota Johnson, in her first movie as an adult, called Facebook addictive and with high subscriber growth. And when it comes to consumer internet companies, investors love high subscriber growth, high retention, and high DAU and high MAU, meaning high daily active users and high monthly active users. Now, all the stars were aligned, which is why Sean Parker got really excited. Let's now talk about disgraced Harvard president Larry Summers' meeting with the Winklevoss twins.
Mark Zuckerberg stole that idea.
I understand. I don't see this as a university issue. Harvard undergraduates believe that inventing a job is better than finding a job. This action, this meeting, is wrong.
Accurate. And that is exactly what happened. Pause me to read Larry Summers' reaction to that scene. Also, the Winklevosses likely had no legal merit for that case, per this quote from Harvard law professor Lawrence Lessig. Now, separately, the most important lesson from this video is that inventing a job is better than finding a job, especially today when AI is at risk for destroying so many professions.
91% of people who try it once will come back. Now, if you allow me...
Excuse me 1 second. What sound is he making? Is that like a tisk?
It wasn't a tisk. It was...
That's not exactly what happened. And by the way, that was brilliant screenwriter Aaron Sorkin. But the scene shows how with early stage companies, sometimes you need to bring in adult supervision, like with Eric Schmidt, with Larry and Sergey at Google, or in this case, Peter Thiel and Sean Parker, who's a bit older than Mark. Now, in this next scene, Zuck is wearing pajamas under Parker's guidance and meeting with a VC firm to raise money.
They're gonna pitch you. Case Equity is going to pitch you. They're gonna beg you to take their money. You're gonna nod, you're gonna nod, you're gonna nod, and then you're gonna say, Sean Parker says, you. Walk out.
Now, what really happened was the meeting was not with Case Equity, but with Sequoia, as Sean Parker got pushed out of a company apparently by a Sequoia partner before. And as a result, Facebook did not let Sequoia invest. Rather, another incredible venture capital firm called Accel did. And I know one of the people who invested from Accel as we taught at Stanford MBA together. And she told me that when Accel went to pitch Zuck to lead the A round, they were competing with other top venture capital firms, and Accel brought 3 term sheets, one with a valuation of about $100 million and the other 2 term sheets with lower valuations. The second that Accel sensed that other VC firms were bidding higher, Accel pulled out the $100 million term sheet and they won the A round. Now, here's who led the other rounds before the 2012 IPO. And as we know, when you raise money, there's a good chance you're going to get diluted. But that's okay, because you can be worth a lot more this way. You'll notice that Mark Zuckerberg's ownership continues to decline, but by the time of the IPO, he had over 57% of the voting power, and to this day, he still has more than 50% voting power. Now, if you can, make sure your voting power in your company is above 50% and cannot get diluted when you raise money, which is not easy to do. Quick side note, Larry and Sergey's voting power with Google combined is above 50% today. And as amazing as Facebook and Google are, they were lucky when it came to investment timing. Why? Because post 9/11, venture capital investors were scared, and the only sure thing to invest in back then was Google. Same thing in the financial crisis of 2008. Venture capital firms were scared to commit capital, and the only sure thing back then was Facebook, which I invested in back then. Separately, why did Facebook rename themselves Meta? Well, I think it was not just because of a metaverse rebranding effort. I think it was because they know the Justice Department could one day break up big tech, and Facebook could be split up into 3 companies, including Instagram, Core Facebook, and WhatsApp. And this is also potentially a reason that Google rebranded themselves as Alphabet. Let's talk about grading of the social network for startup and finance realism. We saw startup finance in its true form, not spreadsheets, but power. Who controls cash? Who controls equity? We learned how dilution works, why incorporation and clean documents matter, how investors think about risk retention and scaling. And the movie's depiction of a $500,000 early investment from Peter Thiel broadly matches the reported history. Thiel invested $500,000 in 2004 at roughly a $5 million valuation and later served on the board. Here's what Peter Thiel had to say about their first meeting.
What was the first meeting like?
You know, it was not like a show on Shark Tank. It was Zuckerberg was 19 years old. He was still pretty introverted. Sean did most of the talking.
So without Sean Parker's guidance and introduction, Facebook would not have gotten Thiel's money and, more importantly, his advice. And the company also reincorporated in Delaware, and this is also a very real venture norm. Many investors prefer or require Delaware incorporation because of its specialized corporate law ecosystem and widespread investor familiarity. Finally, the movie's 0.03% dilution scene is not accurate, although it's very powerful, and it should be treated as dramatization and simplification. Public reporting suggests Eduardo Saverin later held a materially larger stake after settlement, with later dilution over the years of financing. As incredible as the finance scene were in the movie and the book are likely based on interviews with Eduardo and the Winklevoss twins and others, and as a result, the movie and the book are really, really one-sided. Now, the movie is a fabrication, but it's a masterpiece from a storytelling perspective, and Quentin Tarantino and many others call it the best movie of the 2010s, and the film won 3 Oscars. But the finance lessons were more or less accurate. As a result, I'm going to give the movie a hold rating as a teaching tool, not because every number is perfect, but because it nails the incentives. Founders want control, investors want protection, and growth creates both opportunity and conflict. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment, and please let me know what movie or TV series you want me to react to next. One more quick thing. If you want to join my business and career social network, where you get hundreds of hours of my online courses, which have over 2 million paying customers in every country, then please click the link in the description to set up a call with me to discuss joining. You get all of my courses, meaning 700 hours of content to watch on the web, or on my iOS and Android apps. Plus, you get 300 hours per year of daily group Zoom calls with me and 3 hours per year of daily live MBA teaching with me. Plus, you get one-on-ones with me. And most importantly, you get access to my business social network, as your network is your net worth. All in, you get over 1,300 hours and access to many like-minded people that share their wins. And we all help each other to get a better job, invest better, start companies, and so much more. Again, please click the link in the description to set up a call with me to discuss joining. Thank you. All right. Please let me know if you have any questions about that video. I want you all to start your own companies, okay? I don't care how happy you are in your current company. On the side, you got to start your own firm, because I do believe that AI is going to be taking a lot of jobs away, okay? You got to be paranoid. Always have a plan B. Now, behind me, you'll see 2 shirts. And the reason you'll see 2 shirts here is because next week, I'm releasing my first video, whoops, right here, on the TV show industry, okay? For those of you who want to work in investment banking, sales and trading, et cetera, it's a good show. I've done a lot on billions. I've done 33 videos on billions, but I want to ask you guys, I want to ask you a question. What do you want me to focus on next? Do you want me to focus on billions, or do you want me to focus on the TV show industry? So next week, my first industry video is coming out on episode 1 of season 1. You let me know. Let me get to your questions. Okay. All right, first question I've got here is Ship Spaceship, who has the best logo I've ever seen, wrote, what do you think about education and degrees? And what do you think about the tourist industry and warehouse industry? Yeah, a couple of things. So number one, I feel like my kids are the last generation that they're older now, right? So he's just finishing up Berkeley. He's working in investment banking. He's at university doing private wealth management. And he's 16 going on 40. Yeah. But I feel like my kids are maybe the last generation that feel that maybe you should think about university or not. The only reason I recommend going to university, or getting a graduate degree for that matter, is if you've set up 100 informational meetings and tried your best to change jobs and change careers, but you can't get that job. Okay. And the best way to do it is by networking aggressively. And I've got a free book for you guys if you want on how to network. Just go to my website, harounmba.com, scroll to the bottom, and then download this book on how to network. Your network is your net worth. Relationships are more important than product knowledge. So set up 100 informational meetings. Try to get that job. If you can't get that job after 100 informational meetings, then consider going back to university or going to university to help you get that job. Okay, but I really do believe that you can network aggressively to change careers, to get customers, to get investors, etc. Your network is your net worth. Relationships are more important than product knowledge. Okay. All right, next question I've got here. And in terms of the tourist industry and warehouse industry, regardless of what company you start or want to go into, write a full business plan first. And in terms of templates for business plans, and this is based on what I used to teach at when I taught at Stanford MBA school, you can always write a full business plan using my template here. The way you know you have a good business model is likely if you actually finish the business plan. Look at me, I'm cut off down here. Let me change that right now, and I'll show you behind the scenes how I do this. I use a product called Wirecast, and I'm going to move myself down because my stomach is hurting when I'm there. Okay, here we go. Terrible dad humor. Okay, I fixed me. Okay. All right, next question I've got here. Hey, Manas, good to see you. Kuban Media, great to see you as well. Carolyn, good to see you as well. Carolyn wrote, I thought the VIX would pick up with the Iran war. That's a fair point. So for those who are not familiar with the VIX is a volatility index, and it measures how much fear there is out there in the market. And I put my reputation on the line when I say the following. The way to know when to go all in and buy risky stocks is when the VIX is above 70 or 80. And I'll show you the chart in a second. The VIX is very low right now. And the VIX basically measures, it was created by the Chicago Board of Exchange, CBOE, back in 1990. And it measures how much volatility options traders expect in the S&P 500 stocks in the next 4 weeks or so. A reading close to 20 means not much fear. A reading close to 70 or 80 means there's a lot of fear. And no matter what, even if you think the world is ending, you buy stocks. Okay, let me show this to you really quickly here. There's not much fear out there in the market right now because a lot of people think that this war is going to be over sooner rather than later, like within a month or so. My fear, of course, is the casualties in Iran, non-military civilians, etc., and also what's going to happen next. Like there's going to be a power vacuum. But let me go here to the VIX, and I'll show it to you here. Okay, so let's go to a chart. And let's go all. Okay, great. All right, so right here, we see the VIX has only spiked above 70 or 80 twice. Okay, and you can't see this, but intraday, in the fall of 2008, when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working, the VIX actually spiked to above 70. That's when you buy, right? Think about it. You want to be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. The same thing right here. In Q1 of 2020, when the price of oil went to negative $40 in the futures market, crazy, I know. That's when you buy. And actually, intraday, you can't see it here, but in Q1 of 2020 during COVID, the VIX actually spiked to above 80. That's when you buy growth stocks, meaning riskier stocks. Okay, right now, as you can see, there's not much fear, right? There's not much fear because a lot of this is priced in the market. And just given what the Trump administration did with Venezuela, there's a lot of confidence that this war will be over sooner rather than later. Hope that explains it. If anybody else has other comments, please let me know. Thank you. All right, next up, Peter wrote, hey, Chris, did you see the viral video of the McDonald's CEO reluctantly nibbling on his big arch burger and the response video from Burger King, et cetera? I saw it all. Do you think it's good publicity or a PR disaster? I think it's a PR disaster. If the CEO of McDonald's, who makes $1 gazillion a year, doesn't feel comfortable or healthy eating his product, doesn't say much for him being CEO. I'm surprised there's not more backlash. I think it's negative PR for them. Okay, next question is from Garrick. Garrick, first time seeing the call. Hope you join us again. Question is, any thoughts on Constellation software? Yeah, so Constellation software, I don't like it. It could have it could bounce back right now, near term, only because the entire software sector is massively oversold. The RSI on the software sector, stocks like Constellation, Salesforce.com, was about 20 a couple days ago. So you could see a dead cat bounce. The reason I don't like Constellation software is because it's a roll-up, and most importantly, because the founder, Mark Leonard, resigned for health reasons, poor guy, back in September of last year. I only invest in tech companies where the founder is still running the company. On a valuation perspective, it's expensive at over 50 times earnings. It trades at the same price to revenue multiple as Salesforce. I prefer Salesforce, ticker CRM, because Mark Benioff is still running the company. Don't ever invest in a tech company when a founder leaves, no matter what. Okay? I promise you, 90% you will save money by not investing in those losers when the founder steps down. Because when the founder steps down, what happens is bureaucracy sets in, nobody wants to take a risk, and they run the company for Wall Street, meaning on a quarterly basis, and are long-term focused. And as Warren Buffett said, the longer the view, the wiser the intention. Now, the entire software sector is oversold, only because Anthropic CEO very irresponsibly said that AI is going to destroy all software companies. And I think what he was doing is he was leveraging the media, being very controversial, just ahead of the Anthropic IPO later this year. And I think that's one of the reasons why he lost the DoD, Department of Defense contract. Now, I know his playbook. What he's doing is this. Elon Musk is very controversial. Have you ever seen a Tesla commercial? No, neither have I. You can be controversial but tasteful. And the reason he was being controversial like that was because he wanted to get a lot of PR ahead of the big IPO later this year. Yeah. So I think software is oversold. And one more thing I want to say about Constellation Software. Because it's located in Canada, a lot of Canadian portfolio managers at firms like Mackenzie Financial, AGF, etc., they have funds where they have to invest in Canadian tech companies. And there's really not that many Canadian software companies to choose from. So that might explain a slight premium multiple on that stock, but not a fan. Okay. Next question is, what is the most misunderstood thing about venture capital in your opinion? Yeah, I would say that people think just because you get investment from a great firm like Sequoia, et cetera, that your company's going to do extraordinarily well. The problem is this. If you look at the top 10 venture capital firms in the world, only 1% of their investments are unicorns, meaning a market cap of over $1 billion. So 99% are losers or go nowhere. Now, Sequoia is a little bit different from the others because it has 5% unicorns, which is unbelievable. Yeah. So that's what I would say. Yeah. And another thing that people don't understand about venture capital is that they think that if you go and work in VC, you can make a lot of money. It's not true. So I've had friends that have worked at the top venture capital firms for like a decade, and they barely made any money aside from their base salary. Right? If you think about it, if only 1% of their portfolios are unicorns, that means a lot of them go to zero. Yeah. And I don't recommend anybody go into venture capital unless you've started many companies. Otherwise, what happens is this. You join a VC firm and you can't get promoted, and no portfolio company like Facebook, et cetera, that is choosing which VCs to do business with, no portfolio company founder is going to pick you because you don't have experience running a company. Yeah. Don't do it. If you're going to go into finance, I recommend private wealth management. And the reason I do is for a couple of reasons. Number one, you're a salesperson. And the very last sector that AI is going to disintermediate is direct sales, because we trust people, we don't trust technology. Number two, the second reason to go into private wealth management, which a lot of my clients do. And this is sad, but in the next couple of decades, we're going to see the baby boomers move on, and we're going to see the biggest generational transfer of wealth in history. All right. Next question is from Malcolm. Hey, Malcolm. Hey, Chris, what do you do? And everybody, please keep typing your questions. What do you do when you're proud of the person you've grown up into over time, but still feel defeated? It leads to me feeling useless. Is this the most important turning point for growth? Yeah. So a couple things. Perception becomes reality. I think, therefore I am, which is the Rodin sculpture. Don't defeat yourself. We're always our own biggest enemies. Please don't do that to yourself. And also, if you're feeling frustrated at work in your career right now, and the following I say with love in my heart, good. And I say good because it's going to force you to get outside your comfort zone to get a better job, or better yet, start your own company. Frustration always leads to breakthrough. And there's so many incredibly successful people that have been fired and felt down and out. And, for example, Michael Bloomberg, he got fired from Merrill Lynch, and he certainly got his revenge by starting Bloomberg, his own empire. So if you're frustrated at work, that's not a bad thing. So what can you do about it? Well, step one, make a great LinkedIn profile. I can certainly help you with that if you want. Step two, start networking like crazy and set up informational meetings with people that have something in common with you. Maybe they went to the same undergrad or high school as you. And maybe they work at a company you want to work at. Just do informational meetings and ask them what a day in the life is like. And then ask for a job from them. And I know it sounds weird and uncomfortable, but remember, closed mouths don't get fed. It's kind of like if you work in a big company. If you don't ask for a raise or promotion over and over and over again behind closed doors with your boss, you're not going to get it. Yeah. And if you're confused in terms of what you should do in your life and you're not happy, then what I say to you is this. Imagine for the next 30 days, you're not allowed to work. You can't go to school. Okay? You can't travel either. What are you going to do with your time? That's your next career. So start setting up networking meeting with people that work in that sector. Anybody can reinvent themselves. And I feel like my humble purpose, the reason I do what I do, my raison d'être, is I feel like I'm your waiter. Okay, when you go to a restaurant, this is where I proposed to my wife in Paris 8 million years ago. She said yes. But I'm your waiter. When you go to a restaurant, you look at the whole menu, right? But you only choose one or two things to eat. So my job, my purpose, the reason I want to help you is I want to help you find your passion, your raison d'être. Set up tons of informational meetings, make that career change, or better yet, start your own company on the side. Tell nobody at your company, obviously. Yeah. And I'm here to help you. Yeah. Last thing I'll say is when it comes to feeling useless, etc., don't lose hope, man. Don't lose hope. So when I go into the prison system here in Redwood City, I go in the McGuire Correctional Facility through my church. Sometimes I give speeches. And I remember I was there one week and the warden didn't show up, or pardon me, the priest didn't show up to conduct mass, right? And I do it through the St. Vincent de Paul Society. Yeah. And so the warden said, Haroun? I said, Haroun, actually. It's my last name. He goes, Father Michael's not here. You have to conduct Mass. I was like, dude, I don't know how to do that. What do you mean? Right? I'm a Eucharistic minister through the church too. And so I said, I don't know how to do it. And he said, and there's a point to all this. I promise it's going to help you. He said, it's really easy. All you do is you read from this pamphlet, right? So I read the first reading, second reading. I was terrified, man. I was standing there. I felt like I was shaking. But whenever you feel nervous, you don't look as nervous as you feel. And all the inmates were there, right? These poor 20-something-year-old kids that got in trouble for something that I could have gotten in trouble for if I got caught. And they all have deadbeat fathers, poor guys. I love them. Okay, I want to help them. And they're all sitting there like this in their orange jumpsuits. And I was terrified. And one of them had a tattoo that said F you across his mustache. I was really scared. And so I read the gospel. And you know how priests or rabbis or whatever it is, after they read from some religious text, they have to give a speech about it. And they have all week long to prepare for it. So the gospel reading I read that day was about confidence, faith, and hope. And after the gospel, I had to give a speech. I was so scared. And, you know, again, they're all sitting there like that, like, who the hell are you? And it was about faith and confidence. And so I asked two questions. And I ask you these two questions too. The first question I asked the inmates in their orange jumpsuits was, do you believe in God? And they went, yeah. And I said, does God believe in you? And they were like, yeah. And then I said, well, if you don't believe in yourself, you might have to question your faith. And we're never going to do that. And they uncrossed their arms. They're like, I get it. I get it. And so I say the same thing to you as well. Don't worry. God always has a plan. Okay? And you might not understand this right now, but a couple decades from now, you might look back and say, you know what, God, I'm thank you for guiding me down that path. That wasn't a roadblock. That was a stepping stone. And so with frustration comes breakthrough. Don't worry. And it was Dale Carnegie who wrote the best business book in history y'all should read, called How to Win Friends and Influence People. He said, it's not work that kills you, it's worry. Things are never as bad as you think. Okay? And Sir Winston Churchill once said, I once met a man on his deathbed who talked about all the worries he had in his life, none of which came true. So I say this with love in my heart. Embrace that frustration. Network. Meet with people in different companies, different industries. And this will help you break through. Yeah. And in the Old Testament, here I go. All right. This will be quick. In the Old Testament, there's a great passage. It's called the book of Job, J-O-B, which is Job. Job's prophetic. It's about this dude that lost everything, almost everything, but not his faith. And then years later, he was grateful to God that he was guided in a different direction. And for those of you watching that feel like you're too old to reinvent yourself, that's not true. The average life expectancy today is 26 years longer than it was back in the 1950s. So whatever your age is, deduct 26. Let's reinvent yourself starting today. Okay. All right, next question. I've got Spaceship. I wrote, love your YouTube. Thank you. I have so much fun making that stuff. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what else to teach. I've taught everything. So now I'm just doing TV shows and movies. It's fun. Yeah. All right. Near NYJ, first time seeing the call. Hope you join us again. Wrote, hey, Chris, what do you think about making a career switch from management consulting to a quant role? Yeah, a couple things. Number one, for all of you that are younger and confused what you should do with your life, I want you to either get a management consulting job or investment banking job. And the reason I say this is because that's origination. You're originating the product, okay? So management consulting firms like McKinsey or Accenture, where I used to work, we originate corporate strategy, okay? Investment banking, you originate the IPO product, right? Or the M&A product or whatever it is. Now, if you frickin' hate making the product, that's cool because you can move on to another role selling the product or a startup about the product or managing people on the product or operations on the product. So the bottom line is, if you're confused what to do in your career, start with an origination job, okay? It's the cornerstone of all companies. So if we look at, let me get one of my crazy props here. If we look at an income statement, okay, the real growth driver for a company longer term is R&D. If you hate R&D, meaning you hate creating the product, that's okay. You can move on to selling the product or managing people on the product, right? Or, I don't know, the supply chain for the product, etc. Or the CFO for the product, whatever it is. So start an origination job. Yeah. In terms of you transitioning from management consulting to Quant, it might be easier to do if the management consulting work you have is very quantitative in nature. Now, I would be very careful and think about the impact of AI on consulting or Quant. Okay, and you got to think longer term. What is AI going to disintermediate faster? So McKinsey just let go about I think 10% of their workforce because of AI. Okay, you look at companies like Forrester. They've been a great short because of that as well. And when it comes to finance, you got to make sure you understand which jobs are at risk. So this morning, Morgan Stanley just let go a couple thousand people. Find out what departments they let people go in. If a lot of it is quant related because AI is doing that instead, be careful. Yeah. And again, I think that the best way to AI proof your career is to be in sales, as I explained earlier. And if you have follow-up questions, please let me know. Thank you. Hey, Ted, how are you? Ted wrote, have you heard that Jane Street has been manipulating Bitcoin by dumping at 10 a.m.? What do you say to that? Yeah, I think it's just a rumor. I don't think Jane Street has enough volume or capacity to be able to do that. So Bitcoin trades, close to $50 billion a day, depending on the month. I don't think that Jane Street is big enough to do that at exactly 10 a.m. I don't believe the rumors. Yeah. Okay. Okay, next question is, if you ask someone about Facebook, is that the internet or not? Yeah. So the best investments in history and the best kind of companies you can start are platforms. Okay, if you own a platform, like you own the road, you charge the cars at the toll booths. And that's what Facebook kind of is, right? It's a platform, right? It's free to join, but they make a lot of money by charging the cars, meaning advertisers. So as you think about starting a company, think of a platform, okay? Yeah. But Facebook's really for, I guess, for old people now. I don't use it anymore. And I am old. Yeah. Okay, next question is from Malcolm, who wrote, what is the simplest small business model someone can start that eventually becomes mostly automated? Yeah. I would say online teaching. And anybody can do it. And when I grew up, my dad's a doctor. He's a radiologist, which means he fixes radios. And so is my brother. My dad humor is terrible, sorry. And so growing up, there's kind of pressure for me to be a doctor or, God forbid, a lawyer. And the reason why a lot of parents want you to be a doctor or a lawyer is because you make a lot of money. But the problem with being a doctor or, God forbid, a lawyer is you only have one customer or one patient at a time. It's not scalable. If you teach online, it's infinitely scalable. It's the most scalable services business model in history because of the internet. So if you think about it, what I've done, I humbly have 2 million paying students in every single country. Write once, read many. You create your course, it sells overnight, all day long, whatever it is, and you make money that way. But if you're going to do it, don't give up if one course doesn't work. I want you to be a pit bull on a pork chop, but remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I had to make 6 or 7 courses before anything took off. Okay, yeah. And I recommend that all of you start YouTube and all of you start Instagram and TikTok, etc. And the reason I say that is because I think in a couple of years, you're not going to have that opportunity to create the brand of you because AI avatars are going to do it. And so last week, a company, I think it's called Delphi AI, reached about putting me on their All right, this is my backup audio. So sorry about that. 352 weeks still doing this, still have issues. That was a senior moment. So I think I lost you guys. What was the last thing I said? I can answer that question real quick. I promise. Okay, let me turn up the gain on this a bit, and then we'll be good to go. 1 second. I'm going to show you behind the scenes. Check, check, check. I think we're better. Okay. All right. Backup audio time. This here is a Blue Yeti. Okay. And if the audio sucks, let me know, and I'm sorry about that. Yeah. All right. Give me 1 second to catch up. Where was I here? Okay. All right. Next question. Conrad wrote, hey, Chris, hope you and your family are doing well. Likewise. In Canada, what sectors would you consider to be sleeping giants for investment? Anything where supply is limited. Okay, so I would say, companies like Barrick Gold, ticker ABX, longer term. Don't buy it now because gold's like near an all-time high. Everyone's doing it. But natural resources. So that's probably the best place to invest in Canada. If you want something lower risk, you can invest in the big 5 banks. It's highly regulated there as well, longer term. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. And I asked you guys earlier on whether I should make my next video on industry or billions. And a bunch of people said industry, which I will release next week. Thank you. Okay. Okay. All right, next up we got Max, who wrote, hey, Chris, hey, I keep hearing people say they use an AI assistant to type email and send and scan. What system is that? There's lots of plugins you can plug in on top of OpenAI, ChatGPT. Just use ChatGPT yourself if you want. That way it's only $20 a month if you use it a lot. Yeah. Now, one thing I want you guys to be careful of. If you're ever using AI to type anything, AI likes to use a double dash, meaning 2 dashes connected. Delete that if it does it, because everybody knows you're using AI. Yeah. Yeah. And remember, less is more, always. All right. Next question is, what do you think about Iran? We were talking last week exactly about this, and here we are. It's going to be a long fight. Yeah, I think it's going to be longer than people expect. Trump thinks it's 4 weeks and then they're done. No, the issue I really think is you're going to have a massive power vacuum. And then what? Like, who's going to take over next? You look at the Arab Spring back in 2011. We thought that there was a chance for democracy. And then what happened in Egypt was the wrong government officials took over and it was disastrous. Yeah. So I don't know the answer. But, the United States tried with Iraq. Is Iraq a democracy now? No. At least Iran sort of was, before the Shah. Yeah. But it's going to take a lot of time. And the problem is that underground, you guys all see the same media as me, as I do. Underground, they have thousands of those big, small airplane-like drones. So I think it's going to be a longer war than we think. Yeah. Breaks my heart that all the other Arab countries are tied into this now as well. I pray for peace. Okay. You wrote, I remember reading the Peter Lynch book, which I have right here. And this is a great book, by the way, for you guys that want to learn about finance. So this is a great book called Went Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch. Peter Lynch worked at Fidelity. He was the portfolio manager of the Magellan Fund. And the bottom line message from this book is only invest in stuff where you've tried the product. Yeah. And then one of my clients has an interview with the CIO next week. Actually, no, it's tomorrow. Of Fidelity. I remember reading the Lynch book where he said the 1980s inflation was high, oil was scarce, and market performed awfully. Are we back in the same era, and for how long? Absolutely not. The reason Lynch said that was around 1980 or so. Okay. Which was coincidental with the 1979 uprising in Iran, okay, when Khomeini took over. But around 1980 or so, the price of oil was high. The price of natty gas was really high as well. And so Paul Volcker, who is the head of the Federal Reserve at that point in time, raised interest rates massively. And he overdid it to the extent that interest rates were close to 20%. It was disastrous. And unemployment then was around 10%. Things were much, much worse then than they are today. What's different today is we have the internet. And what that means is we have price discovery. So a lot of things are cheaper because we order online. There's more competition. And I think that we're not nearly as close to being in a hyper inflation type environment. Also, the United States produces a lot more oil now. Trump has talked about drill, baby, drill. I don't think things are going to be nearly as bad as they were back then. Absolutely not. No. Okay. All right. Next question is, hey, Chris, with rise of Claude code, what do you think will happen to IT consulting and services jobs? Will the big companies like Accenture, TCS in India adapt to them and serve clients with fewer employees? Absolutely. And the worst thing you can do right now, according to Jensen Huang, who's the brilliant CEO and founder of NVIDIA, he said the worst thing you can do is study computer science. And the reason that's the worst thing you can do is because AI tools were made for that. And I look at the unemployment rates now for undergraduates. And the two sectors or two majors that have the highest unemployment right now are anthropology, which makes sense, I guess, and computer science. So just be careful. Yeah, I think that we can all work smarter, not harder, by leveraging AI. But I certainly would not want to work in technology. Yeah. And a lot of my clients are trying to get out of tech and into sales or finance or something. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Next question is from Liked Carey. Wrote, what do you think about Project Genie that caused many gaming stocks to go down? I saw that it was the most speculative sell-off. I believe that the sellers don't know about the video game industry. Yeah, video game industry is very, very tough. Okay, I wouldn't get involved in the sector at all. The only company I would think about buying is Take-Two, TTWO, when GTA 6 comes out this November, if ever. And y'all know that when it comes out this November, I'm not doing any of these calls for at least a month. Okay, yeah, it's a hard sector. And the only games that tend to do well really long term are the ones with great stories. Like if Naughty Dog Studios, which Sony kind of owns, makes games on The Last of Us, Uncharted, or anything that Rockstar makes. Take-Two is the parent company. Okay, like Red Dead Redemption, the GTA franchise, etc. Yeah. Otherwise, it's a loser industry. Yeah. Okay. And one of the problems with the video game industry in general is that on mobile, Apple, and I can't believe antitrust is not pissed off at this, but Apple a couple of years ago released their own game center, right? And they're pushing in your face. There's no competition. There's no good apps anymore. I remember when this thing first came out, there was a great game every week. Angry Birds, Where's My Water, etc. I used to play with my kids. There's nothing now. Innovation has died on this thing because of oligopoly. Yeah. I think it's just a matter of time until the government breaks up big tech. Yeah. They're not doing it for now for strategic global reasons. Yeah. In my humble opinion. Okay. I saw gold was down, silver was down too. How come? As in uncertain times, safe havens go up. Yeah. So what usually happens is the market anticipates what's going to happen ahead of time. Everybody knew that an attack was coming. Yeah. The reason that oil spiked, though, is because nobody knew that the Strait of Hormuz might be closed. Yeah. But I want you to think long-term always, please. Yeah. Okay. Do you think we need so many SaaS, software as a service companies? As most can be done by AI, and also one person with limited technical skills can use AI to build such amazing SaaS systems. No, I think that this, look, I do believe that AI it definitely competes with software companies, but I believe what the Anthropic CEO did in that interview was self-promotional for him and his company, which is doing an IPO later this year. And I think that if I was working as an institutional investor, I'd probably be rolling up my sleeves right now, taking a look at Salesforce.com and others. Yeah. When you invest, always remember this. Things are never as bad as they seem, and things are never as good as they seem. And the bottom line message there is that the billionaires I've worked for or worked with in venture capital, hedge fund industry especially, quite often they're very unemotional, very level-headed. Yeah. Emotional traders lose money. Yeah. Yeah. Warren Buffett famously said, the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Think about that. Yeah. All right. This audio is working out good for backup, eh? Okay. What's one regret you have in terms of VC or hedge fund career? Maybe an investment you missed or passed on. Yeah. I don't have regrets, but there's a guy I partnered with, I was on the board with, Michael Spicer, really good guy. And he introduced me to Snowflake, a cloud company. And I met with them, and I was looking to lead the next round on the company. And then I ended up quitting and starting this instead. Yeah. It was a different CEO, though, at the time. Yeah. But I've humbly done okay. Yeah. I invested in Facebook Palantir pre-IPO. So it's been fine. Yeah. Okay. Next question is, India and China are more dependent on oil from the Middle East, and so is South Korea. Yeah. Also, Russian oil is getting expensive with the crisis on board. What is the best way to understand the situation? Yeah. Just focus on the Strait of Hormuz. That's what's going to drive the price of oil in the near term. Yeah. But this is a one-off. Yeah. Be long term. Is this a time to invest in cryptos and equity? It's still too expensive in my opinion. And if this goes on for more than a year, will the market give more opportunities later? Yeah. I always tell myself this when I invest in cryptos and when I invest in stocks. I don't know the path, but I know the destination. So for me, I own Bitcoin, right? I have for years, right? And I've talked about it, on this weekly webcast for years. I don't really care if Bitcoin goes down to 40,000 next year or goes up to 200,000 next year. I don't care because I know in my heart at some point, probably in 20 years, Bitcoin will reach $1 million. I do. And my thesis is, my thesis is this. I'll do this really quick. This is the worst investment you can make. Okay. And there's about $96 trillion worth of currency in all major markets out there right now. And that's up from about $90 trillion back during COVID. So they keep printing this stuff, right? So there's no limit on supply of this. But with Bitcoin, there's a limit of 21 million Bitcoin that'll ever be made by the year 2140. And currently, a couple percent of this is the cumulative market cap of cryptos. I think that the amount of this stuff printed, you can pull out Excel and do the future value I'm about to tell you. I think what's going to happen is the amount of this stuff printed is going to be an increase of 5% every year for the next 20 years. That means in 20 years, the global market cap of all cash will go from 96 trillion to $250 trillion. And I think in 20 years that 10% of that market cap will be Bitcoin, which implies a market cap on Bitcoin of $25 trillion, hence the target price of $1 million. I don't know the path, I know the destination. Now, it doesn't matter how much you like a stock. I don't care if you think a stock has a cure for cancer. It can never be more than 5% of your liquid net worth. Yeah, you want to be around to invest another day. Yeah. Okay. And I think 99% of cryptos are scams. Okay. And the best time to buy these things is when the RSI is 20. They're massively oversold. Because if you think about it, if they're overbought and everybody owns a stock or a crypto, who's the incremental investor to buy it to push it higher? There's not as many. Buy it when it's broken. I like to buy broken stocks, but not broken companies. And what I mean by that is a stock that is massively oversold has an RSI of 20, where I believe in the long-term fundamentals. Broken stock, good. Broken company, bad. Yeah. And then Ship Spaceship wrote, marry in your early 20s or settle before. Yeah. I say it all depends if you find the right soulmate. Yeah. Yeah. And for those of you guys that are single out there, I want you to ask out more people, okay? I want you to think like Michael Jordan. I failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. If I told you that if you asked out 99 hotties, okay, gorgeous women, they all said no, and the 100 said yes, would you do it? Of course you would. The pain of getting rejected each time is that. The pleasure of one soulmate is that. Yeah. 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 Okay. All right. What is the one thing kids nowadays do not understand about life and the world, which you wonder they did be as detailed as possible? Yeah. Yeah. I'd say networking. Your network is your net worth. Relationships are always more important than product knowledge. And the problem is this, right? When you're a kid and you're in school, right? You keep your head down, you work really hard, you get good grades, your parents are proud of you, teachers leave you alone. Then you get into the real world, and this happens to a lot of people on this webcast. You get in the real world. You keep your head down at the office, you work hard, and you think you'll get a raise, promotion. Then 2 years go by and you look around and you're like, WTF, why the face? Like, why are more people getting raises or promotions faster than me? The reason is because they ask. Asking you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. How do you ask? Well, here's how you're going to get your next promotion. Next time your boss says something to you along the lines of, good job, you say, thank you. Do you have time for a coffee? You go for a coffee with them and you say the following, if true. I love what we've accomplished as a team. The outlook looks great for us, and I'm really happy here. I love it here. That being said, as you know, it's very expensive to raise a family in this area, and I really want to provide the best standard of living I can for my family. And as a result, I'd love to ask you, please, what do I need to do? What additional value do I need to add in the long run to our team to be considered for a promotion? Okay. And they're going to, you write down everything they say. Okay. Then 3 or 6 months down the road, when they congratulate you again on a job well done, you say, do you have time for a coffee? And then you say behind closed doors, and your competition does this at work. I promise you, you just don't know about it. Behind closed doors, you say the same spiel. I love the company, yada, yada, teamwork, good stuff happening. We sat down 6 months ago and you gave me some great feedback. Thank you. As you know, it's expensive to raise a family here, and I want to provide the best standard of living for my family. You gave me 5 sets of criteria, 5 things to do to be considered for a raise or a promotion in order to add more value to our team. Well, I'm very humbled to say I've completed all 5 of those. I've added more value to the team. I'd like to ask you, please, for a promotion. You got to do that behind closed doors. Your competition's doing that in your company. You just don't know it. That's why these schmucks around you are getting raises or promotions faster than you. Asking you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. Closed mouths don't get fed. Please do this often, right? And your boss will respect you too, especially if your boss has a family. They'll respect you because that's how they made boss as well. Yeah. Yeah. And also subconsciously, it tells your boss that you're a team player, you're long-term focused, and oh gosh, I don't want to lose this dude. Yeah. And regardless, every 3 months, I want you to sit down with your boss and ask for feedback, right? That way, when the next job cuts come, and come they will, you're less likely to get axed. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Is it possible to build a one-man quant fund with AI, maybe a smaller size? What do you think? Very, very hard to do. I'm the eternal optimist, but if you look at other quant funds like Renaissance Technologies, they have 90 PhDs working around the clock. It's hard. Yeah. What I would do is if you want to go down that path, join a firm like Renaissance Technologies, which has a 40 or 50% gross annual adjusted returns, a hedge fund, every year on average since the 1980s. Learn from them. Use them like they're using you, then raise capital. Always use OPM, other people's money. Yeah. All right. Anonymous account 514 wrote, So you were a software developer before you got into finance. How and why did you switch? Yeah. So I worked at Accenture in Toronto, but I was all over the place. Like they sent me down to Nations Bank to work on the merger of Nations Bank, Bank of America in Charlotte. I also went to Barbados where I set up an offshore bank for CIBC, COBSCO, CIBC Offshore Banking Services Corporation. I loved it. It was fun. Then I got into like kind of a more senior management type-ish role. I was like, dude, I'm not learning. And my passions were always finance and stocks, and therefore I networked like crazy and eventually got the job in New York at Goldman, Citadel, and other stuff. Yeah. Your network is your net worth. Okay. Jack Dorsey's firm laid off 4,000 people. He said most companies would lay off tons of people. What do you think? Yeah, I think he's ahead of the curve. And because of AI, a lot of people are being let go. Yeah. Yeah. And so if somebody here works, especially in tech or does something operational related that's very repetitive, I want you to use AI to try to, I don't know, work smarter, not harder, and be more productive so that you're the last person to be let go. But more importantly, I want you to reinvent yourself and look for another job. And the other job can be your own company, which you should always be starting on the side. And the other type of job you should be looking for is sales. And as I've said so many times before, I'm a broken record player here, but I care. I care a lot. Sales is the last thing to be let go, okay, because of AI. Because we don't trust computers, we trust people. Yeah. Yeah. And for anybody that works in sales right now and you're getting promoted to management, be careful, man. Make sure you keep a couple of key clients, right? Because when push comes to shove and the next layoffs come, when the company cuts into muscle, not just fat, you're at risk. Always be touching sales. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next question is all in caps. Reminds me of my grandfather, who I know you weren't yelling at me. You were just typing in caps, Gramps. And my grandfather always said, Chrissy, buy land. They're not making it anymore. I'm doing quant trading, not day trading. I use code and algos to trade. How should I raise investors for my fund? Yeah. So what you need to do is get an audited track record. Just do a search on audited track record for stocks. Okay. Have a third party audit every single month. Okay. Make sure that you have at least 20 positions. Shows you're diversified. Okay. Don't make a position more than 5% of capital. Also, don't ever have a down month of more than 5%. If you're down 5%, take a knee. Don't lose more than that. Yeah. Yeah. And then you just got to network like crazy, meet high net worth investors to invest. That's what I did. Yeah. Yeah. And if you want, set up a call with me and I'm happy to help you. I don't know, there's a link somewhere. Yeah. If you want, or just ask me here. More questions. All right. Next question is, with a small sum of capital, should I look for publicly traded small caps and smaller businesses with a circle of competence, just like the early days of Buffett and Peter Lynch? Yeah. Yeah. So smaller cap stocks have much more upside, obviously, right? So what you can do is you can look at the Russell 2000, or you can look at the IBD 50, Investors Business Daily 50. Do your own research on it using one of my templates if you want to. Think long term. And when I invest in companies, I always invest in what I humbly believe are a 5x5s, meaning 500% return within 5 years. I'm often wrong, but if I'm a little bit right, I'm very right. Do your own research. Yeah. Yeah. Because what happens is you get the law of large numbers, right? Like mega caps, like Microsoft, it'll never be a 5-bagger within 5 years, right? It's just the law of large numbers. It's kind of like China. You know, China's GDP growth rate, the world's freaking out about, which I think is a little silly. But China is forecasting GDP growth of about 5% per year for the next year, which is the lowest since around 1990 or 1991. It's just a law of large numbers. The bigger you get, the slower growth is. Bottom line, for you as an investor, if you invest only in mega caps, it's harder to make a massive return. Now, as you're doing investment research on stocks, if you forecast and you only see 15% upside on an individual stock each year, don't waste your time. Buy an ETF, which is lower risk, like ticker VOO. And that's the S&P 500. I humbly believe that the VOO, meaning the S&P 500, will be up 15 to 20% per year on average for the next couple decades. Yes, there's going to be massive down years. I don't care. I don't care about the path. I care about the destination. Yeah. Why do I believe that? I believe that because what's happening is, and let me just nerd out with an income statement. What's happening is a lot of companies in the S&P 500, they're leveraging AI to massively cut G&A, okay, cut a little bit of R&D, okay, maybe a little bit of marketing. If they cut this stuff, right, by using AI, not people, which is always the biggest expense, it goes right to the bottom line. Yeah. Okay. Do you think 10 years from now, more people or less people will have mental health problems globally, specifically Western countries? Yeah. Oh, boy. So what I recommend, I'll answer that question. Yeah. I think less. So I think a lot of times mental health issues, and always talk to a doctor. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but a lot of times mental health issues come because we don't take breaks. We don't take off one day a week. You have to take off one day a week. But I think that with AI, a decade from now, I think we're going to be working fewer hours, right? One of my buddies just he's just getting a robot now for his house, right? It's not that expensive either. His name is Cameron, good guy. And the robot's going to help with the dishes and all this stuff, etc. And I can envision a world 10 years from now where a lot of us have robots. The cost is going to be initially $20,000, which is like buying a car. You finance it over, 4 years. It's like a couple $100 a month. And we're not going to have to work as hard. And you've all seen the headlines with Elon Musk. What he's doing is he's not selling the Model S anymore. Dude, that's one of the most important cars in history. He's retooling his factories here in Fremont, close to where I live, etc., to make robots. So I think we're going to be working fewer hours a decade from now. Fewer hours means more R&R, rest time, which I humbly think, this is just my opinion, means potentially less mental health issues. Yeah. And I recommend everybody please take one day off a week. Please. Every major religion believes that. I have clients that take off Sunday, like me. I have clients that take off Friday night until Saturday night. I have clients that take off Friday. One day off a week. It's the best investment you'll do for yourself. I'm not allowed to work on Sundays. And as a result, on Mondays, I'm 18 million times more productive. Yeah. And it helps with mental health as well. And the way I do mental health for me, okay, here, I'm going to open up. A lot of it comes down to nutrition, as well as exercise. So you've all seen here on previous webcasts how I have a treadmill below me, and I get 10 to 20,000 steps a day. The body's a temple. You treat this right, you can think and work and speak more gooder. Yeah. So get a cheap treadmill like I have below my desk, and I've got one of those desks that goes up and down as well. Yeah. Exercise the answer, and get 7 to 8 hours sleep every night. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up. Have you used Claude Bot yet? It goes in your terminal, but it's scary sometimes with too much control. Yeah, no, I refuse to download anything AI related or install any apps. The only AI stuff I use is through a browser, period. Yeah, it's too dangerous otherwise. Yeah, and if you're going to do it, don't use it on a production computer. Yeah, get a sandbox computer. Okay, Leigh wrote, where do I find Industry, the TV show, to view? Yeah, it's on HBO. It's on HBO. It's a pretty good show, actually. It's about a big investment bank called Pierpoint, based in the United Kingdom. It's kind of like a bulge bracket firm, like a Goldman or Morgan Stanley. And I'll release episode 1 next week. Yeah. My review on it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the feedback, my audio. Okay, good. All right. Next question is, do you think America will have socialism longer term with corruption in both parties? Too many people are sick of wars and corruption and paper. Yeah. Is a third party coming soon? Absolutely not. There'll never be socialist filth or communist filth in this country. There's too many checks and balances in place. Yeah. As we see on I think it's the license plate of New Hampshire, live free or die. Yeah. I believe that. In terms of third party coming soon, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard because if a third party comes, what it's going to do is it's going to cause one party to lose big time. Okay. So, for example, if you go back to the early 1990s, you had George Bush Sr. was president. He was head of the Republican Party. And then you had Clinton, Democrats. And then you had Ross Perot creating a third party. And he was more right-leaning. And as a result, it stole a lot of votes and was one of the reasons why Bush Sr. lost. The other reason being he was too focused on international stuff like Iraq, Gulf War I at that point in time. Okay. Crown Networks wrote, Chris, I was a former student, but had to step away because I couldn't afford it. What's one step I can take to earn your mentorship now? And what should I deliver in 30 days to prove I'm serious? This is Alfonso Davis. Yeah. If you're having financial issues, just email. I'll give you my stuff for free. Yeah. Just email me at support@harounventures.com. Yeah. Sorry to hear you're having financial issues. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, why do you think Blackstone is down so much? They have huge debt with data centers and AI costs. And how do you know if it's fear selling or preconceived stuff? Yeah. You asked a similar question last week. And my answer last week was not because of AI related investments, is because the entire sector is underperforming. Kind of like how all software stocks were shit to bed past couple of weeks because of what happened with Anthropic CEO's irresponsible comments. Yeah. So Constellation Software, Salesforce.com, ticker CRM, the entire sector was down. That's the reason, the only reason. Yeah. And there's credit concern issues too with some funds, not Blackstone itself though. Okay. Next up, Sorab. Hey, Sorab. Pleasure to see you. Hope you join us again on this call. Wrote, I'm trying to raise 9 figures, so $100 million or more, for several commercial real estate projects. What organization and places can I find those investors? Thank you for the great comments. P.S. I live in Central Florida. Awesome. I love Florida. I'm always looking to buy real estate there. Yeah. And I might move my company there in the next decade for tax reasons. Yeah. We'll see. It depends what stage you're at. If you've done it before, then you can approach institutional investors. If you're brand new to it, it's going to be hard. And initially you have to approach high net worth investors, because with high net worth investors, the sales cycle is short. It's usually some rich dude who can decide within a few weeks. If it's an institutional investor that's going to give you, a block of money, like 9 figures, like $100 million, it's going to take them a long time to do due diligence on you unless you have a track record. Yeah. And if you want, so you could set up a call with me if you want. I think if you go to my website, harounmba.com or something, you can click and set up a call. I'm happy to talk to you. Yeah. Okay. Aizen wrote, I'm in high school. I'm going to get an internship in a prop firm for trading. Yeah. 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 The best way to get an internship is to set up lots of informational meetings. Here's exactly what you're going to do. This will work. Have an amazing LinkedIn profile. Okay. Step 1. Step 2. Click on your high school, go to alumni, find people that work at finance companies, and send them a message. Say this: John, hope all is well. I'm a student at the same high school as you went to. Please let me know if you have time for a quick Zoom call or a coffee chat. I'd love to talk to you about the industry in more detail. They're going to say yes. Do you know why? Because 20 years from now, when you're way more successful than you are today, if somebody 20 years younger than you remind you of yourself, reached out and asked for help, they'd say yes. Asking you'll receive its perfect been true since the beginning of time. Yeah. Please don't be a trader, though. Think long term. Yeah. And I say it with love in my heart. The reason day trading doesn't work, a couple things. Number one, there's not a single successful day trader that's been successful for many decades. We can't name them for a reason. They're fooled by randomness. There's 20 days in each month where the market's open. Stocks go up and down because of random stuff you can't forecast, like a company's earnings, what Trump's going to say, what Xi Jinping says, growth estimates for China, etc. It's a loser, but you can't do it. You got to be long-term focused. Yeah. And I say it with love in my heart. You can always search my YouTube channel for day trading. I've done tons of videos on why I'm completely against that. Yeah. Okay. Will you do a movie review of Steve Jobs with Ashton Kutcher? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll do that one as well. Yeah, and if there's any other movies you guys want me to do, just let me know. He got criticized for that one a lot, though, because he didn't seem like Steve Jobs in the beginning, and then towards the end, he started walking like Steve Jobs and talking more like him. Yeah, it wasn't the best depiction, yeah. And I see Ashton a lot in venture capital circles. He's actually he invests a lot in VC startups. Yeah. Okay. How do you advise me not beating myself up when I'm sick and down and not working on my goals? What psychology do you follow in times of sickness and burnout? Yeah. Step 1, take off 1 day a week. Okay. Step 2, what you're going to do is you're going to make a daily schedule. Okay. And I have my daily scheduling system here. Oh, here it is here. Okay. So Manasi, you're in my premium product. So I want you to go to PG1-1, that's Personal Growth Semester 1, Class 1. And I want you to make a daily schedule every single day, every night, on what you're going to do the next day, and then score yourself to make sure that you're staying on target. Okay. And since you're one of my premium clients, I'll see you at 10 a.m. Pacific time today for our weekly Zoom call, and I'll help you out in more details. Yeah. Yeah. But I also want you to create your simple, perfect 10-year resume. What that means is this. I want you all, if you're not sure what to do with your life, to create a resume today that depicts what your life is going to be in 10 years. Okay. So your 10-year resume. Then I want you to put it up on your wall. And you have something to work towards. And I got this idea from Jeff Bezos, because Jeff Bezos, when he used to run Amazon, Jeff Bezos, what he did was he had all of his product managers on products like Kindle, AWS, etc. He had them all write a press release today that's going to be released many years in the future. And then there's a gap, and you can work on filling that gap. Yeah. Do you think billionaire tax should be implemented? I have the logic. Even if we tax billionaires 5% a year, they can easily make 5% more. Yeah. Yeah. I think there has to be, look, I'm definitely a capitalist. I didn't vote in the last election. I'm more of a libertarian. But I do believe that it's not fair. The tax code is not fair. So let me give you an example. So in 2007, when Jeff Bezos was a billionaire many times over, not only did he not pay tax, but he got $16,000 back from the U.S. government, $4,000 for each of his 4 kids. Not fair. And the way the tax code works is you have to have a realized event. Like you sell shares and you pay taxes, right? Otherwise, billionaires don't pay taxes. What a lot of billionaires do, like Larry Ellison, et cetera, okay? I think, I could be wrong. What they do, people like Larry, is they have this massive net worth, right, in stocks. And so what they do is they get tons of loans to live this lavish lifestyle, and they write off 100% of the interest in those loans. Yeah. There has to be a better taxation system. Yeah. Warren Buffett pays less in tax percent-wise than his assistant does. It doesn't make sense. And he's publicly said that as well. His normalized tax rate was less than 1% over a 4-year period recently. Yeah. Okay. Give me 1 second. Do you think Bitcoin will eventually be mainstream and usable anywhere? If not, do you think it'll reach a value of $1 million? Yeah. Earlier on, I mentioned my investment thesis on it. In terms of being usable for daily transactions, no, not in the near future. No, it's too volatile. It's too volatile. Yeah. Okay. Bitcoin has become more of an institutional asset than a normal Joe thing. 50% ownership is with institutions. Does that go against principle of Bitcoin as now whales move the market? No. No. I mean, it's actually, it's well under 50% institutional ownership right now. But in 5 years, do I expect more institutional ownership? Absolutely. That's a really positive thing. Demand goes up, supply stays constant or grows a tiny bit. And the best analogy I can use is this. Okay, back in 2004, ticker GLD was created, an ETF to buy gold. This is plastic, okay? An ETF to buy gold. That was a huge deal because now I know it's real gold. I can buy and sell. It's liquid. 2 years ago, the SEC blessed or approved ETFs for Bitcoin. That's a huge deal because more institutional investors can buy and sell it in their funds, okay? Big money managers like the Fidelities of the world or hedge funds of the world. And also, a couple of years ago, the only way to buy Bitcoin securely was to use one of these crazy things, cold storage wallet. This is a Trezor or a Ledger Nano. And the problem with this is when you set these things up, if you guys have done it before, you have to enter like 12 to 24 little seed phrases. It's so damn complicated that once you finish setting it up, you're like, you know what, man, I'm so confused. Therefore, I'm going to cut my order in half. Well, now there's ETFs. Makes it easier to buy. Yeah, a confused buyer does not buy. It's bullish. Next question is Ship Spaceship wrote, how do you talk to girls and know they're interested in you? Oh, okay. All right, I'll tell you a story. Okay. So I was in undergrad at McGill University, 1994. Okay, my last year. Hi, I'm old. And there was this girl. She was so gorgeous. Nobody ever talked to her. She's way out of everybody's league. And what I did, and the Prime Minister of Canada is going to come into this. You'll see in a second who I went to school with. So she was so gorgeous, right? I mean, my wife is way better if she's listening. I'm just kidding. No, she's out of my league. But this girl was so gorgeous. No one would talk to her. And right before I went up to, it was the last year of school. I went up to her. It was on campus by the McClellan Library. There's some charity event. And I told myself this, and you should tell yourself this too. I'm just going to be me. I don't care what she thinks of me. And I went up to her and I introduced myself. And a couple minutes go by and she's still talking to me. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Pinch myself. Is this real? She's laughing at my jokes. My jokes are awful, but I didn't care. I was in this kind of confident mood where I just didn't give a damn what people think. which is rare for me at that age. I was insecure. Half hour goes by, she's still talking to me. I'm like, oh my God, I have to ask for her number. This is crazy. Then all of a sudden, this dude walks up with like long hair. He looks like Jim Morrison, right? And starts talking to her. And she immediately turns her back to me and is laughing at his jokes, which are way worse than mine. And you know how bad my dad humor is. And I'm like, WTF, why the face? What is going on here? I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Right? I just got Heisman, right? I just got blocked. Heisman. So what I did was I said, hi, I'm Chris Haroun. Like, I'm nobody, eh? And he goes, Justin Trudeau. I can't compete with JFK Jr. So anyway, stupid story. But you got to tell yourself that you just don't care. You don't care. Especially on the first date. If you try too hard, they'll sense desperation. Yeah. Okay. But remember, it's a game of numbers. Yeah. Like I had a lot of buddies growing up. My buddy Dave, I went to undergrad with him at McGill, and I went to high school. He always had the hottest girlfriends. He's an average guy, average looking. But there's no shame. He kept asking over and 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 over again. Yeah. Whereas for me, I would, ask 4 or 5 girls out. I kind of get shy. Yeah. Okay. It's like networking, eh? Okay. Hey, Chris, is your 40 tips for making a great online course still available for free? It's not. No. And if you want to access my courses, just go to my website, learn.harounventures.com. Yeah. Okay. I'm focusing on content for my website only. Yeah. Okay. Where can I find the value of the US dollar? Yeah. Just go directly to you. It depends what country you're in. You can ask any audible service, right? So watch this. Alexa, $1 US in Canadian dollars.
$1 US is about $1 Canadian and 37 cents.
Yeah. And I taught Alexa to speak faster. I just did that setting because yeah. Or you can even ask SIRI. What is the value of $1 US in Canadian dollars?
The answer is $1 Canadian and 37 cents.
Yeah. Also, I had SIRI speak faster. Yeah. Okay. All right. And every day what I do in the shower when I'm getting ready for these things is I always do this. Okay. And you work smarter, not harder by multitasking. Alexa, Wall Street Journal news.
From the Wall Street Journal.
Alexa, stop. Yeah. All right. Do you think Cuba is next after Iran? There's a good chance, especially given Rubio's past. Yeah. Do you think Cuba is next after Iran, as Trump was mad at them and stopped their oil and embargo? Yeah. I think it could easily be next. Yeah, easily. Yeah. The U.S. doesn't like communism at its doorstep. Yeah. As long as it's done in a humane way. Yeah. Okay. And Cuba's pissed off too because the Cuban Special Secret Service, which is really good, they were the ones that were protecting Maduro when the United States invaded Venezuela. And this is crazy, but true. The United States used some secret weapon, sonic or sound-based, that knocked everybody out. It's unbelievable. Next question is, do you think it's best to invest in defense stocks right now? I usually try to invest in stuff 6 months before something happens or a little bit sooner, but it could be. Like the way you can think about it with Lockheed Martin or Northrop Grumman, ticker LMT and NOC respectively, is think about this. What companies and sectors are too big to fail? What companies and sectors would the U.S. government never let go bankrupt? Defense contractors, then banks. Yeah. But you got to create a long-term financial model. Yeah. Will they be more relevant or less relevant in 5 years? Much more relevant. Do the work. And value the company based on your earnings estimates in 5 years. Always. Yeah. Okay. I'm a software developer and I have 20 years experience and I'm looking to switch to software sales. Good. It's a great sector to switch into because the gross profit margins are 90%. Net profit margins or EBITDA margins can be over 30%, which means sales people make a fortune. I have buddies that work in enterprise software sales. They're salespeople with a territory here in the Bay Area, and they make between $3 and $6 million a year. Absolutely. You know how to make the product already, so you can sell the product. Okay. Then you wrote, and you're doing the right thing because I really do think that development jobs are gone. Yeah, I do. And if you want to set up a call with me, just go to my website or something. I'm happy to talk to you about it in more detail. I have a lot of clients now who are switching from tech to sales. Yeah, you have to. Then you wrote here, there's a pre-IPO company that I want to invest in and work at, but I'm scared to death they will blow me off. Okay, step 1, amazing LinkedIn profile. Step 2, set up informational meetings with them. If you want, I'll show you how to, if anybody. And then there's going to be a button, I think I'm covering in the corner, just click here to book a meeting. Is it loading? Okay. All right. Give me 1 second. Okay. What do you think of Bernie Sanders? Yeah, and I think my audio stopped working for a second there as well. Just go to my website and book a call if you want. Yeah, HarounMBA.com. What do you think of Bernie Sanders? Looks like logical left-winger to me, sometimes too left, but cool old man. The only reason, I wouldn't vote for him, but the only reason I would want him to be president is so that Larry David could host Saturday Night Live all the time. Yeah, no, he's way too lefty for me. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Azen wrote, what do you think about traders like Paul Tudor Jones, Soros, etc.? So Paul Tudor Jones, so he's an equity trader, but he's not really a trader, right? So in his hedge fund, the way he made his fortune was longer term. Okay. And I know people that have worked with him as well. So they tend to make 3-year bets. Okay. He's not a day trader. Okay. But very, very good. Does a lot of deep fundamental bottoms-up research. Now, when it comes to George Soros, Carson Levitt, who's my mentor who hired me at Citadel, Pequot, funds I've worked for, Carson worked for him for years and said that he sucks as a stock picker, but very good at macro. Okay, but I really don't like his politics, Soros, but I think he manipulates markets. Right. And what he did was he made $1 billion in one day by forcing the Bank of England to stop the British pound from being fixed to a basket of stocks in Europe and US dollar to floating. He also made $1 billion in one day doing the same thing to the Thai baht. Now, it was very manipulative and tons of other hedge funds jumped on board with him as well. Yeah. And macro trading can only work if you control a market. Otherwise, it's a loser's bet. I can't forecast what a currency is going to be next week or next month. It's too hard. Yeah. Do you think the midterms will have major consequences on the world economy? He had a thin majority in both houses as of now. Will it change how he tweets midnight and the rest of the term? Yeah. I think Republicans will certainly lose power. Yeah. Okay. And then Matt wrote, sorry he's not JFK Jr. Thanks. I can't compete with a Kennedy. Yeah. I'm watching this great series on Hulu now on JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. It's really good, actually. Spoiler alert, I'm so sorry. They both die in the end. So, sorry. That was terrible. All right. That's a big water bottle. It is. I try to finish this every day. I put some flavor crystals in it just so it tastes better, but I feel a lot better when I drink a lot of water. The reality is I only drink about that up until that much every day, but I try. Yeah. Okay, a couple more questions and I'm going to wrap this one up. Okay. Hyper wrote, what do you think the short-term future for gold and silver is going to be because of what happened in Iran? Not sure if this question is already asked. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. I don't know. If it gets out of hand, possibly higher. But gold and silver are fundamentally different. It was a crowded trade last year, which is why it unwound along with AI stocks in the first couple of weeks of January. Right? There's mean reversion against it. So gold goes up when there's fear. Okay. Silver has a weak correlation to gold, but silver has more industrial applications. So if you think that the Chinese economy is going to slow a lot, silver is probably not a good bet. Yeah. Yeah. And I usually don't like buying stuff when it's close to its all-time high. Yeah. I know it's pulled back recently, though. Yeah. Okay. Jasmine wrote, hey, Jasmine, good morning. How are you? Do you think cybersecurity jobs are a safer bet compared to software development? Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt, especially with agentic AI. There's a lot of software vulnerabilities, yeah, when it comes to cybersecurity. Yeah, yeah. But I'd probably rather work in cybersecurity software sales than actually being a developer, because I do think, again, AI will take those jobs. Yeah. Okay. When you in conversation and you know he is wrong, but you don't want to be drained because he will never be convinced, you see it with his eyes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't understand the question. But what I will say is this. For those of you that work at a big company and there's that jerk that says something to you that's trying to reel you in, if you say, I agree or I disagree, they'll use that against you. You say 2 words. And this works in relationships too. You say this. I understand. Because you're not agreeing or disagreeing. You just say you understand. Yeah. If your question is about eye contact and telling if somebody is lying or not, I'll give you a couple tips. All right. I worked at a very big hedge fund. And this hedge fund hired CIA and FBI veterans to train us how to tell somebody is lying. And I'm going to give you 4 tips really quickly on how to tell if somebody might be lying. Now, 2 or 3 of these have to be a yes for you to think maybe somebody's lying. Here they are. Number 1, if somebody breaks eye contact more than usual when answering a question, good chance they're lying. I see it all the time, especially with athletes being interviewed in television. And they're asked, do you want to return to this team next year? Yes, I really want to return. That's number 1, eye contact. Okay. Number 2, if somebody rambles on and on and on to a simple yes or no answer, they could be lying. Number 3, or threeth, as my son Andrew used to say, if they touch their face, and I scratched my face a second ago, but if they touch their face more than usual, they could be lying. And 4th, the 4th way to tell if somebody might be lying is if they're shaking their foot or their hand a little bit. It's like a lie detector test, what tests for the nervousness. But if they have too much coffee, then obviously that's not the case. Now, it's very subjective. Okay, so for me, for example, I look down a lot. It's just a confidence thing, just the way I am. If somebody usually looks down a lot, then obviously you have to discount that. But try the eye contact thing and the rambling. I bet you'll catch people lying. And the reason I was taught that at a big hedge fund is because we wanted to see if CEOs were lying so we could short their stocks, etc. And we came to the conclusion that the best way to tell if a CEO is lying is if they move their lips. Sorry. Okay. All right. Thank you for everything, my mentor. God bless you all forever and ever. See you in a few minutes. You're amazing, but thank you. God bless you. And thank you for appreciate it. Okay. How do you see the risks in the life insurance industry with the risks seen in private credit and PE? Yeah, a couple of things. Number 1, don't ever invest money through your life insurance provider. Okay. They say if you invest through us, we'll give you life insurance and you can invest in an annuity and all that stuff. The hidden fees are ridiculous. You have no idea. Okay. And the way to find out what the hidden fees are is you call customer support, because every call is recorded for quality purposes. Hi, I'm old. And you say, explain the fee structure. For every $1 I put in, how many pennies of fees am I paying? And after they explain that to you, you explain it back to them. I'm going to explain it back to you now because the call is being recorded. I'm going to explain it back to you now. And if I'm wrong, tell me. Okay. and you'll see the fees are insanely high. It's as asinine as investing in mutual funds, which are a scam. ETFs are good because fees are lower after you do your research. Okay. Okay. What's the best finance job that you recommend in 2026? Yeah. So if you can get it, I would say investment banking, because you're creating the product, you're originating it. If you hate it, hey man, that's cool. You can move on and sell it, trade it, meaning invest in it long term, start your own fintech company, etc. Okay, that's always first. Number 2, the second best is private wealth management. The reason I love private wealth management, as I mentioned before, is because people don't trust AI. They trust salespeople managing their money, a real person. And it's sad to say, but as I mentioned before, in the next couple of decades, we're going to see the biggest generational transfer of wealth in history as the baby boomers move on. Yeah, private wealth management is great. One more thing I want to say about PWM, private wealth management, is it's one of the only sectors where you can take your clients with you and leave the firm, right? A lot of people work at Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, whatever, in private wealth management for 2 years, then they'll take their clients with them somewhere else. Relationships are more important than product knowledge. And 75% of all jobs at investment banks are sales related as well. Yeah. Okay. What do you think about working in IB? Is it hard? Yeah, the hours suck. It's hard to get in. It's murder to get in. I place a lot of my clients actually gotten jobs at Goldman Sachs and other places as well. If you're interested in doing that, you can always check out my YouTube videos online or something. But the problem with investment banking is, yeah, your buddies that work in investment banking make more money than you, but they probably make the same amount of money per hour that you do. They work insane hours. And I'll talk about this in a lot more detail next week if you see my vlog on Industry Season 1, Episode 1. They work insane hours. They sacrifice their health. I just don't understand why investment banks can't just hire more people. Yeah. Why 100 hours a week? It's ridiculous. But it's a great place to start a career. All right, Matt wrote, also no offense, but you give Justin Trudeau or Justin Truefake a little too much credit. Sorry, yeah. I can't believe he was prime minister that long. I ordered a hat, a red hat that my mom convinced me not to wear when he was prime minister that said, make Trudeau a drama teacher again. Okay, I didn't wear it though. Yeah, I did not vote in the last election in the United States. Okay. All right, guys, I am going to wrap up this call. If you guys have more questions, ask me next week, or I will see you guys in my premium program in 13 minutes for my Zoom call. In terms of my program, the way it works is this. You sign up for my program, and what I'll do is give me a second. I'm gonna add something on the bottom here. But if you sign up for my program, you get 300 hours per month or per year with me. Give me 1 second. Let me put my propaganda on the bottom. Message bottom. Here we go. There's my propaganda, my infomercial thing. At least I'm honest. Book a meeting with me. No, but in all seriousness, for a change. The way that my program works is you, first of all, set up a call, see if you're a good fit and all that stuff. You get 300 hours per year of daily group Zoom calls with me every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every single day. Small group Zoom coaching calls, okay? To help you, get a better job, make more money, get promoted, start your own business, whatever it is, okay? Career development. And you also, so that's 7 hours per week, every single weekday, 300 hours per year. You also get access to 10 hours of one-on-one coaching with me as well, Mondays through Saturdays, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. I love every second of it. In addition, you get a couple hundred hours per year you get 700 hours of my award-winning video content, all my courses, etc., my MBA degree program, etc. Set up a call with me if you're curious. Otherwise, God bless you guys. Click the like and subscribe button and stuff my CMO wants me to ask you. And I'll talk to you guys next week, and I pray for peace. God bless you guys. Thank you.